This wave of expulsions comes after officials both in the U.S. and in Europe pointed to strong evidence that suggested, they say, that the Russians were behind that deadly and certainly dangerous nerve agent attack on a former Russian spy on British soil. And that, they say, was the solid basis for further action. In expelling 60 Russian diplomats, the U.S. joined governments across the globe in punishing the Kremlin for a nerve agent attack on a former Russian spy on British soil. An action the White House today called brazen and reckless.
We think that this is not just an important message to send to the Russian government, but it's also, significant in degrading their intelligence capabilities around the world, not just in the United States.
Along with the U.S., more than a dozen European Union countries, Ukraine, and Canada all took action, affecting more than 100 individuals in the biggest Western expulsion of Russian diplomats since the height of the Cold War. British Prime Minister Theresa May called the international response the clearest indication yet of world solidarity against Moscow.
It is part of a pattern of increasingly aggressive Russian behaviour, but also represents a new and dangerous phase in Russia's hostile activity against Europe and our shared values and interests.
Kremlin officials have denied being behind the attack on Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia. The pair remain in critical condition. Also today, the White House announced the closure of a Russian facility in Seattle, just the latest in a series of actions directed toward the Kremlin by the Trump administration, countering a frequent narrative from critics who often accuse Mr. Trump of being soft on Moscow. The president previously ordered the cruise missile attack against Syria's Bashar al-Assad. He expanded sanctions on Moscow, gave lethal aid to neighboring Ukraine, sent troops into Poland over Russian objections, and expanded oil exports into Eastern Europe, a crucial Russian economic market.
What the United States of America do today is they are destroying the little that is left from the Russian-American relations. The United States is wholly responsible for the destruction of Russian-American relations.
The bonds between our people remain strong. The United States is ready to cooperate and forge a better relationship between our two countries. But that will only be possible when Russia chooses to become a more responsible partner.
Joel Rosenberg, author of the best-selling book The Kremlin Conspiracy, warns the latest moves by the White House are only a solid first step.
President Trump has to do much more. He needs to toughen up economic sanctions, really hit Putin's money, the oligarchs' money, and he needs to start putting more deterrent forces in Europe close to Russia's border.
Very interesting conversation there. By the way, Brett, we also heard from the Russian Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov. He said that his country would be guided by the principle of reciprocity in reaction to what happened today, which is a not-so-subtle way of saying that dozens of American diplomats could soon be making their way home. Brett.